Decision of RBA can appeal to the Independent Retirement Benefits Appeals Tribunal. RBA is here to listen and resolve your complaint promptly because your retirement should be stress-free. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line 0800-720-300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future. Secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
After criticism by the Catholic Church, President William Ruto appears to be saying that he's not stoppable when it comes to giving donations. He says it is part of his Christian faith. We have details lined up for you tonight.
Now, on our topical conversation tonight on Sunday Express, we're going to be looking at child safety online. And the question is, as mobile penetration is, going beyond borders and the use of smartphones, how safe are children online? Yes.
It's a great question, that one. And the conversation Regina will have. Your guest tonight?
Yes, my guest tonight is Christine Anyango, a resource mobilization officer with UNICEF Kenya, to just understand the role that private sector is playing to ensure that our children, and minors especially, are safe while surfing online.
All right, it's time for us to look at the highlights.
We understand the Word of God enough to know that it is more blessed to give than to receive. And that is what we're going to do. So, musikuwe na wasiwasi, tutajenga makanisa yetu.
Giving to God. President William Ruto defends his donation to churches, saying he is a product of generous giving. From boys to men, pomp and color as young Pokot men undergo a traditional rite of passage in Baringo County.
Ready for Christmas night, so that's the idea. We have about 150 guests now coming tonight for this event. So really nice moment to share in family together with the team members as well, because we prepare these cakes with the pastry team. So not only the guests, but also the teams who are impacted and who can prepare the cake with us.
And making merry. Inaugural cake mixing ceremony opens in Nairobi as part of Christmas festivities.
And Saudingo is our sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Welcome to Sunday Express.
I'm Regina Manyara.
Now, President William Ruto has defended his donations to churches, saying it was an act of faith.
The head of state, who appeared to be responding to criticism from the Catholic clergy, said he would continue to support the building of churches across the country as he was a product of generous giving.
Attending an interdenominational Thanksgiving service in Kericho, President William Ruto appeared to respond to the Catholic bishops who criticized his donation to a Catholic church last Sunday. The president, while defending the church donations, said his contributions were part of his life as a practicing Christian.
God gave his only begotten Son, so that today we can equally be saved. And because God gave as an example, we are going to give in keeping so that the word of God can reach others who have not known God. And we are going to serve God through our giving.
An undeterred, Ruto said he would continue to make contributions to build worship places as his contribution to evangelization.
We understand the word of God enough to know that it is more blessed to give than to receive. And that is what we're going to do. So, musikuwe na wasiwasi, tutajenga makanisa yetu, tutashirikiana katika kuendesha neno la Mungu mbele, kwa sababu mimi hasa nimejenga makanisa kwa miaka 30 and I have never lacked.
The head of state further criticized the heightened political activity in the country, warning that it risked distracting the government's development agenda.
Unhealthy, negative competition, unnecessary confrontation. Let us work together as business leaders, as political leaders, as spiritual leaders and church leaders. Let us work together for the greater good of the Republic of Kenya.
Rais, mimi naomba msamaha kwa ajili ya waumini wa Catholic. Mimi ni muumini wa Catholic. Sisi tuko na mahitaji mengi sana kwa kanisa letu la Catholic, mijengo na kadhalika. Ile misaada tulikuwa tunapata kutoka ng'ambo hatupati siku hizi.
Despite calls for him to order the cancellation of the Social Health Insurance Fund and a reversal to the defunct NHIF, the president said universal healthcare reforms were unstoppable.
Kila Mkenya awe na kazi asiwe na kazi, awe na uwezo asiwe na uwezo, kila Mkenya apate nafasi ya kupata afya na asinyimwe kwa sababu hana uwezo.
Mimi nimekatwa 30,000, lakini 32,000 actually. Lakini wakati nimekumbuka hiyo 32,000 inaenda kusaidia mwananchi mwingine ambaye hajiwezi, ambaye alinipigia kura, nikasema hiyo ni sawa. Afadhali isaidie mwananchi wa kawaida kuliko hii mambo ambayo tunaitana harambee kwa kijiji kila siku.
He announced that the first batch of expenses incurred under the Taifa Care will be paid this coming week.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has emphasized on the government's commitment to enhancing security and fostering peace in the country.
Speaking at a Thanksgiving service at the Africa Inland Church in Kor Laisamis constituency, Kindiki highlighted the deployment of specialized security officers to tackle organized crime and insecurity, particularly in border counties prone to conflicts.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki was on Sunday in Marsabit County for a Thanksgiving Sunday service at African Inland Church. Here, the Deputy President assured residents of enhanced security in counties facing insecurity cases.
Na nchi ya Kenya tutaijenga kwa jasho na tutaijenga kwa kimakusudi. We must be deliberate to build our country. We must purpose, we must resolve, and we must decide that this country we call Kenya is the only homeland we have, and we must build it.
Kindiki also delved on the ongoing reforms in the health sector, advocating for the Social Health Authority initiative aimed at reducing the financial burden of medical care for Kenyans.
I can say without fear of contradiction that the new social health insurance will work and it will benefit the people of Kenya.
The DP stressed that addressing these systematic challenges requires unity and a collective resolve to overcome ethnic, political and religious divisions.
Tusikosoane na njia ya kuharibiana heshima na njia ya kuleta uchochezi. Any leader who is inciting any section of the society is not worth that title of leadership.
The Deputy President also acknowledged peace prevailing in Marsabit County and called on leaders and residents to continue prioritizing harmony and development.
Twende tu hatua kwa hatua, tusikimbizane, because hakuna serikali iko na resources ya kufanya kila kitu siku moja. Tupate moja leo, ingine kesho, kesho kutwa. By the time tuende uchaguzi wa mwingine, utakuwa na baraka tele ya kuhesabu.
For Sunday Express, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Now, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has hinted at unveiling his political formation come January 2025 in readiness for the next polls.
This is a section of politicians faulted a section of clergy for rejecting donations from politicians.
Here are the details of the political intrigues as the weekend came to a close.
Speaking during a church service at AIPC Church Kangare, Kigumo in Murang'a County, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua revealed plans to unveil a new political alliance in readiness for the next poll.
Naendelea kuongea na watu. Viongozi wetu wa kanisa tunaongea. Wafanyi biashara wetu tunaongea. Professionals wetu tunaongea. Hao viongozi wale wako na akili na wanapenda watu wetu tunaongea. Januari hii nitamueleza vile tumesikizana.
Further, the former DP says he was vindicated with the cancellation of the Adani deal, which he claims he had opposed.
Mambo mawili hatupendi: usaliti na uongo. Mambo ngapi?
Nasema we will never again travel na gari za wenyewe. Lazima tukue na gari yetu. Lazima tukue na gari yetu.
Meanwhile, political leaders led by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah have faulted religious leaders opposing church donations from politicians. They spoke at Kitala Posho AIC Church in West Pokot County in a fundraising ceremony to build the church.
Hatupeani kwa kanisa tufurahishe wananchi. Hatupeani kwa kanisa tufurahishe chairman wa development wa hii kanisa. Tunapeana kwa kanisa sababu hiyo ni amri ya Mwenyezi Mungu na inampea heshima na yeye anatubariki kwa yale tunafanya.
And the unity of ODM members in Kakamega County was put to test after two factions have failed to agree on those nominated to oversee the poll.
We hereby reject the list of 12 returning officers and urge the National Election Board to engage the membership of the party, especially the branches, in coming up with a list of credible and acceptable men and women who will oversee the elections.
ODM ni chama ishajipanga. ODM ni chama ambayo iko na katiba. Na kama hauheshimu katiba ya chama, kwa chama cha ODM, my friend, toka. Na hii mambo ya kuogopa kukutana na viongozi wengine kwa ajili ya election, mimi nashangaa unataka kuwa kiongozi wa aina gani?
Sisi kama wana ODM tuko tayari kupiga kura tarehe 27 mwezi huu. Tuko tayari kupiga kura.
This comes as a section of ODM members in Mombasa called on the deputy party leader, Governor Abdul Samad Nasir, to ensure free and fair elections in November 27th.
Nataka achukue hilo jukumu kama kiongozi 001 ili uchaguzi utakapofanyika ufanyike kwa haki, ili iwe ni mfano kwa kaunti zingine za Kenya. Kwa hivyo uchaguzi wa Mombasa ukiwa uko safe, ODM Kenya nzima iko safe. Kwa hivyo jukumu liko kwa gavana wetu Abdul Samad aweze kuunganisha wanachama wetu wa Mombasa.
In Makueni, Senator Dan Manzo has criticized the government's labor export policy. He called on Kenyans to disregard the foreign jobs while challenging the government to build a conducive political environment locally to attract investors.
The companies which take these children to these places are individually owned. The Ministry of Labor should organize the companies properly. Here, we don't have a proper legal structure.
A section of opposition politicians led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has now vowed to move to court to compel the government to come clean on the cancellation of a proposed Jomo Kenyatta International Airport deal with the Adani Group.
The leaders, who spoke in separate events in Nairobi and Bungoma counties, have further demanded that the president orders for the cancellation of Adani deals in the health sector too and scrap the Social Health Authority, SHA.
After President William Ruto ordered for the cancellation of proposed Adani deal with Ketraco and JKIA, opposition leaders are demanding for thorough scrutiny of the decision. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who addressed congregants at Jesus Teaching Ministry Church in Nairobi on Sunday, has vowed to compel the government to prove to Kenyans that no public money was lost through the dealings.
Na tutakuwa watu wanapiga domo because tunaenda kotini, kwa mfano tutarudi 27 next week tupate directions. Hii cancellation ya William Ruto ya kusema those two contracts ziwe cancelled, maana yake ni nini?
Kunao pesa ambazo zetu tumetumia ama zimetumika kuleta Adani Kenya hii. Hizo pesa tunataka kujua ni gapi na zinalipwa na njia gani.
Echoing the sentiments, politicians and members of parliament who accompanied Kalonzo also demanded the immediate cancellation of the Social Health Authority, claiming the medical scheme has failed to benefit Kenyans.
You have to go back to NHIF.
Ana tutaki mambo ya shi na sha na sho. Hiyo warudishie hata kandarasi ya 104 billion shillings pia ifutulie mbali.
Wabunge badala ya kuwakilisha Wakenya wameenda kuwakilisha serikali peke yake. Wanachukua hongo, wanapitisha sheria baya.
Similar sentiments were relayed by DAP Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa and a section of members of parliament from Kitui who called for transparency in future government engagements with private entities.
Tumepeana evidence kuonyesha huyu Adani alitimuliwa Bangladesh, alitimuliwa Sri Lanka, ametimuliwa hadi kule Australia Sydney. Hadi juzi Amerika inashika Adani kusema huyu mtu ni mkora.
Kwa hivyo tungependa kusema, kwa sababu kumekuwa na kuongea kwingi na matendo machache, wakati huu tuone matendo mengi na kuongea chache.
Joseph Ohungu for Sunday Express.
Well, that puts us on our first breather tonight on Sunday Express. To keep it right here, we have so much in store for you, including our candid conversation on child safety online. So do keep it right here. We'll be back.
Star 570 hash. Option 1 kuna PS5 na ni full package na inakuja na JBL Party Box. Hiyo boom experience pia iko.
The Kenya Medical Training College, KMTC, is delighted to announce its 93rd graduation ceremony scheduled for Thursday, December 5th, 2024 at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, Nairobi from 8 a.m. Graduates are reminded to pay a non-refundable graduation fee of 4,000 shillings using the payment details provided on the screen. Graduation gowns can be collected at the college headquarters, and the graduation booklet is available for download on the KMTC website. For more details on the graduation, training programs, intakes and application procedures, visit www.kmtc.ac.ke. KMTC, training for better health.
Mamlaka ya ukusanyaji ushuru nchini inakuletea kampeni ya umma ya G-Nice na Risiti Legit. Thibitisha risiti yako ukitumia app ya Risiti Legit, upate nafasi ya kuibuka mshindi wa zawadi kemkem kama vile shilingi milioni 1 pesa taslim, laptops, televisheni ya inchi 50, smartphones na zawadi zingine. Alhamisi tarehe 28, kutana nasi mjini Embu, Runyenjes, Siakago, Manyata, Kiritiri Market na Mbere. Kutana na msafara wetu wa Meru, maeneo ya Chuka, Nkubu na Meru Town tarehe 29 Ijumaa. Tarehe 30 siku ya Jumamosi tutaanzia Meru Town, Nchiru, Kianjai, Mutwate na Maua Town. Pata app ya Risiti Legit kwa Google Play Store au App Store kwa maelezo ya kuingia katika mashindano ya Risiti Legit. G-Nice na Risiti Legit. KRA, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee.
Welcome back. You're watching the Sunday Express.
Now, some good news, especially to those who have a sweet tooth. Now, as the world prepares to usher the festive season that will culminate to the celebration of Christmas by Christians, the ushering in of the new year, a group of families came together for the first ever cake mixing ceremony hosted by a Nairobi hotel.
The centuries-old tradition that is a common practice in European countries marks the arrival of the harvest season.
The cake mix was also saved up for the coming year in belief that it would bring another abundant year.
Let's look at that story.
The cake mixing tradition, which dates back to the 17th century, originated from Europe and has finally made its way in Nairobi, Kenya. Families drawn from Europe and Kenya came together to mark the first of its kind ceremony. The participants are taking the chance to guide the chefs in the facility in blending a variety of ingredients, including dried fruits, nuts, and alcohol in line with the traditions of making the custom cake.
We're ready for Christmas night, so that's the idea. We have about 150 guests now coming tonight for this event. So really a nice moment to share in family, together with the team members as well, because we prepare these cakes with the pastry team. So not only the guests, but also the teams who are impacted and who can prepare the cake with us.
This elaborate mixing process is what gives the cake its unique flavor, aroma, and texture. The centuries-old tradition symbolizes the start of Christmas celebrations in many European countries, highlighting the themes of sharing, spreading joy, and preserving cultures, with the hope for abundance in the coming year.
The choirs as well will be there. We'll have a nice dinner set in the whole lobby area, and we'll celebrate Christmas together, and also the brunch next day, 31st night, 1st of January as well. So really festive moment we're really going to enjoy at the hotel.
In addition to the cake mixing ceremony, the hotel has lined up other festive activities, including a Christmas tree and candle lighting event, as well as Christmas carol performances.
We are going to marinate for 2 weeks, and then we start making the cakes out of them. So the cakes will be not this big. Cakes will be in the size of half kg, 1 kg and everything. So we start making cakes. Basically, this particular event is basically about bringing a good luck.
Catering to both local and international guests, all to celebrate the joys of Christmas.
Well, Kioria, we are about to start singing Merry Christmas. Yeah, the Christmas lights are already up. And just looking at, the raisins and the mix and all that stuff. The sweet tooth that I am, I think I'm already salivating, so yeah.
Maybe probably you can ask Hero for context when the cake is ready.
You know?
You can be a partaker.
Now you're talking.
Well, a section of civil society group has raised an alarm over what it described as a high level of public debt in the country.
The human rights groups revealed that a public debt has accumulated with limited transparency and contrary to the constitutional principle of public finance management.
As Timothy Kipnus in our reports, the group has urged Parliament to stop the proposed approval of excessive borrowing.
The civil society group led by Oko Uchumi claimed that Kenya has accrued an alarmingly large amount of debt, where approximately over 70% of the nation's tax revenue and 50% of its budget are allocated to servicing the debt.
We also demand that the government publishes the domestic debt register and their beneficial owners as they work on addressing the high interest rates on treasury bills and bonds that see commercial banks continue to make huge profit while access to credit shrinks across all sectors for private and individual borrowers.
The group now want the parliament to stop the proposed approval of excessive borrowing.
We are calling on parliament to stop the proposed approval of the continued and excessive borrowing against debt anchors by undertaking, one, by ensuring that that particular proposal within the Public Finance Management Act does not pass.
Our hope is that the committees of parliament take their responsibility seriously, because they are the institutions we have put for ourselves to guide our country. We do not have any other National Assembly or other institution that sets the rules.
I think by now Kenyans have started to know that they thought that their members of parliament were their last line of defense. It's unfortunate. The parliament is captured. For the judiciary, if it's not yet captured, they're almost there. We are starting to get a little bit of hope with the church.
And in the same vein, grassroots rights activists from Mathare Slum in Nairobi County and Kalian Village in Machakos County banded together on Sunday to celebrate the role of local social movements in advancing democracy and advocating for human rights.
Our collective struggle and our collective liberation depend on us all, and we can't give up. We have to work collectively together to ensure that there's freedom, and what we fought for in the Constitution is being respected, is being valued, and is being protected.
Our work stretches across all sectors, it stretches across everything that we possibly touch and think of, and just having women come together from grassroots organizations, movements, communities, NGOs.
Former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga, who graced the event, lauded the role and power of grassroots movement in safeguarding the civic spaces, which he said was shrinking.
To deal with a new leadership that can implement the Constitution, can stop killings, can stop corruption, can stop thefts, wastage of resources, etc. All right? So these are the many battles of the women themselves, their equality.
Timothy Kipnosu for Sunday Express.
Well, now let's turn our eyes to some meeting that concluded today. The Conference of Parties came to a chaotic conclusion today, marred by delegate walkouts and condemnation by the civil societies.
Developing nations sneered at the $300 billion that developed nations pledged to help address climate change.
African civil societies termed the meeting as another disappointment after it failed to deliver the $1.3 trillion needed to address climate crisis.
The host, Azerbaijan, was forced to extend the meeting after the Friday timeline failed to deliver an agreement.
Here's O'Brien Kimani, who takes us through the hits and misses of COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan.
As curtains come down for COP29 here in Baku, Azerbaijan, the opinion is highly divided onto whether this was a successful COP. But all this is also dependent on who you ask. If you talk to members of the African civil society, they'll tell you that the COP29 was another talk shop for global fat cats to mate and break bread. But to members from the global north, COP29 was a meeting for concession, commitments, and more climate financing. Close to 2 weeks, more than 50,000 COP29 delegates spent their time huddled in the cold and expansive Olympic Stadium here in Baku, Azerbaijan, which had been turned into a conference center to host the annual meetings. Negotiations were difficult and at times chaotic as countries haggled over numbers and semantics, the usual COP style.
We are not going to accept as Africa. We are going to declare COP29 a failure if it doesn't deliver on the quantum, which is based on science and metrics. The $1.3 trillion is not just coming from the skies. It is designed out of some studies and analysis. And so we cannot go below this.
Though leaders from major global powers like China, France, Germany, and the United States gave the meeting a wide berth, negotiations nudged on, sometimes late in the night. Key agreements were made to operationalize the carbon credit trading mechanisms.
Regarding the report on national greenhouse gas inventory data from parties included in Annex 1 to the Convention, the SBI adopted conclusions at its closing plenary on 16th of November, agreeing to continue consideration on this matter at SBI 62.
The agreement came early on Sunday morning, a day after the COP29 talks were supposed to end. During the closing ceremony, COP29 President Mukhtar Babayev announced that richer nations had agreed to pay at least $300 billion a year by 2035 to help poorer countries prepare for natural disasters and initiate sustainable planning. However, the developing nations and members of the African civil society rejected the $300 billion, terming it an insult.
There is no way we can win this war when we are fragmented. We need to work together with the young people. We need to work together with the parliamentarians. We need to work together with women across the world. We need to work with the farmers of the world, indigenous people, but we need that unity. Whether it is North or South, South-South collaboration, but should be done within the spirit of trust.
Developing countries had sought $1.3 trillion to help deal with the raging floods, droughts, rising seas, and extreme heat. The funds are also supposed to help developing nations implement sustainable projects to mitigate against climate change. As the meeting in Baku comes to an end, attention now moves to Belém in Brazil, which will host the next edition of COP 2030 in November 2025. But until then, developing nations can only hope that the Baku funding pledge will come to pass to help vulnerable nations deal with the urgent task of climate crisis. With the COP29 done and dusted, the attention now shifts to Brazil, which will be the host of the COP 30 in 2025. And everybody will be watching to see whether Brazil will deliver where COP29 has failed. From Baku in Azerbaijan, I'm O'Brien Kimani.
Wewe bro, nipatie hiyo risiti ya items. Wazi wazi.
Cheki, mimi sina ado hizo nafikiri.
Excuse, niletee risiti yangu ya items. Asante.
Ani pesa ngapi? 3,000.
Hebu nisaidie na ile risiti ya items.
Nimeshinda mili. I'm the latest millionaire. Marry me, baby.
Yes! Guys, nimeshinda laptop. Nimeshinda TV 50 inches.
Nice na Risiti Legit promotion kutoka KRA. Download Risiti Legit app, scan QR code kwenye risiti yako, ujishindie zawadi kem kila wiki. Kuna grand prize ya milioni 3 kwa washindi watatu, milioni kila mmoja.
Je, ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Inspector, kuja hapa karibu kwa gate ya Vitimbi Hotel. Kuna kazi kwa hapa.
Wamefika, watu wamefika, wako kila mahali kufanya hivi kuchika video.
Kwani nini imetokea?
Unalingika, twende tukajifiche. Inspector wa mabalua.
Moja kwa moja.
Kila mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza *463#. Uwe mshindi.
Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
Welcome back. You're watching Sunday Express.
Now, in a rare initiative aimed at helping vulnerable students pursue education, Ian Gishohi has embarked on a 10,500 kilometer cycling challenge from Cairo in Egypt all the way to South Africa's Cape Town.
The Starehe Boys School alumni who began his cycling journey early this month targets to raise 100 million shillings to finance the education of at least 100 students in his former school.
Gishohi, who made a pit stop in Nairobi, shared his experience so far with our reporter John Kahiro.
And here's that story of resilience and passion.
Sunday evening at the Starehe Boys School in Nairobi. The school's staff welcomes Ian Gishohi, a former student. For the last 3 weeks, he has made a tough but a noble trip to Cairo, Egypt.
I love adventure. So I decided why not combine adventure and philanthropy, top to the bottom, along the spine of Africa. But now Sudan is a bit interesting because of the war that's ongoing. So I had to try as much as possible, cover all the miles that could have been done in Sudan, do them in Egypt.
His source of transport was his bicycle. Ian has so far traversed the terrains and pyramids of Egypt, covering at least 3,500 kilometers so far, with contributions as little as 1 shillings per kilometer, will help more than 100 underprivileged students access education.
The goal is to raise 100 million. That is enough to school 50 students, 50 boys and 50 girls, in Starehe Boys and in Starehe Girls, in perpetuity.
Not many human beings can do that. Even being on a bike for more than a few hours is quite taxing for many. But Ian is doing this for charity. He rides hours and hours on end.
The journey, however, he says, has not been a ride in the park.
There are things like kidnappings, unfriendly people throwing stones at you.
This massive effort that Ian is undertaking is going to ensure that such young people who've shown academic talent can come into a good quality school.
As he prepares to resume the second leg of his journey to Cape Town, Gishohi strongly believes that every pedal stroke and every shilling donated will bring the dream of education closer to reality for more than 100 deserving students.
As of now, we are still way off the target, and that is why I'm appealing to anybody and everybody. Send in whatever you have, your 5 shillings, your 1,000, your million, or whatever. That will enable somebody to enjoy quality education at the Starehe School.
John Kahiro, Sunday Express.
For how many kilometers, before we take the counties, how many kilometers have you ever rode a bike? If at all you can ride a bike. Can you cycle? All right, now to the counties. Kenyans have been advised to avoid using food supplements without recommendations from diet experts.
Elsewhere in Homa Bay County, residents of Rusinga Island now have access to clean water for domestic use following the installation of a water dispensing machine.
This and more in our county briefs.
Speaking during the third joint Kenya and Italy food symposium hosted by the Kenya Nutritionist and Dietetics Institute, Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology Senior Nutrition and Dietetics lecturer Professor Gordon Nguka warned unregulated use of food supplements was detrimental to the well-being of individuals.
You can do a supplement over and above what that person is eating to cover for that particular need. The impact on nutritional status and well-being cannot be undermined if you get into the usual Kenyan cuisines.
Elsewhere in Homa Bay County, residents of Rusinga Island area now have access to clean water for domestic use following the installation of a water dispensing machines.
Here in Mbita at a rice center, the access to water is through the treatment plant that Wabble.
And in Mandera County, Governor Mohammed Adan Khalif has reiterated his administration's unwavering commitment to nurturing and developing local talent.
We are always ready, available to support all types of talents. We have many talents.
Meanwhile, in Migori County, persons with disabilities have expressed concern over the rising cases of discrimination and segregation in educational institutions in the region.
On that, accessibility issues, I think we need to improve, and the National Council should improve more, and together with the government.
In Taita Taveta County, the State Department of Immigration and Citizen Services has rolled out the inaugural birth and registration office in Chembolingot area.
Kutoka leo watu wa Tiati hamtaenda tena mpaka huko Kabarnet ili mpate birth certificate. Mtapewa hapa.
Separately, faith-based organizations are now urging the government to make peace building a national priority, while calling on leaders to focus on functional leadership that provides solutions.
Sisi tumekuja kuungana tutengeneze amani vile itaendelea Kenya. Na vile kiongozi hata kuwa akitupa maneno.
Separately, Chinese retailer China Square has opened an outlet in Kisumu City to tap into the Western Kenya market. This will create local jobs.
We have about 90% imports. Okay, until now we have about 40% Kenya make.
Finally, Nairobi County government has commenced plans to expand Mudhurwa market. Speaking at a food donation drive, the area MCA Mwaniki Gikwenya revealed 46 million shillings had been disbursed towards promoting businesses at the BC market.
2022, 2023, 2024. Niko na budget ya over 46 million ya kufanya shade. Ukiangalia huku hizo soko zetu hazina shade. Hiyo ndio ambayo ninataka nifanye, kwanza wapate mahali ya kufanyia kazi.
Christmas ni sahi ishafika na ni kubwa. Kweli? Hii Christine ni bomba na Blue Santa kupitia star 570 hash option 1. Rudia. Star 570 hash option 1. Iko PlayStation 5 na 55 inch TV na iko 500,000 Kenyan shillings.
Nambuzi moja?
Nambuzi. 1 million Kenyan shillings na Samsung S24 Ultra.
Nambuzi moja?
Iko 2 million Kenyan shillings na iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Nambuzi mbili.
Blue Santa amekuja na zawadi kibao. Nani kubwa. Hapa kuna ndogo. Hapa Christmas ni bomba.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital App in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital App.
Now you're watching Sunday Express, and the internet provides us with great opportunities, but there are also downsides, full of risks, including cyberbullying, exposure to inappropriate content, privacy breaches, and the horrifying threat of online sexual exploitation. So tonight we are addressing child safety online, and my guest is none other than Christine June Anyango, a resource mobilization officer at UNICEF Kenya. Thank you, ma'am, for making time.
Thank you for having me, Regina.
Now, let's start off. At what age did you allow your children to own smart gadgets? Let's pick it up from there.
Well, that's interesting. My children's friends, because I have to start from there, we're part of a society. They had smart gadgets, I think, from the age of 9.
Okay, 9.
And my children got smart gadgets at the age of 16 as a gift. But I gave my children smart gadgets with a contract.
With a contract?
Yes.
Okay.
I got a really brilliant idea of online, and my children signed a contract when they got their first phones. In a nutshell, the contract would read, the phone belongs to me because I bought it, but I'm giving it to you to enable you to use it. One of the other things I had was a promise that at no point in time will you use the telephone to take nude pictures of yourself and share it with anyone, or of anyone else to share with anyone.
Okay.
At any point, if you feel uncomfortable by anything going on your telephone, you would let me or your father know about it. It had other options on phone would be taken away, what kind of punishment it would, how many hours you would use. But yeah, they started at 16. They are now 22 and 20.
Now, because I'm a mom to a teen and a preteen, I think after this, you'll give me a soft copy.
I can give you a soft copy of
that particular contract,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
this is the holiday season, and this is where a majority of our children, especially those who've done their national examinations, their home, really get exposed, the downside of, being online. And you've answered a question. Is there really an appropriate age in which a guardian or a parent actually can, use to say, this is when my kids can actually own a smart gadget or not? I mean, we're in a tech world.
For as long as that person is labeled a child by UNICEF standards is from up to the age of 18, they do have a right of supervision by their parents or their caregivers. So when making the decision to hand over a gadget to a child, you have to consciously make the decision knowing that there is also a requirement of you as the adult giving the child the gadget to supervise it and to engage with the child and give them a level of literacy that is needed for them to be effectively use the gadget. So I wouldn't say I would prescribe an age, but I would prescribe the necessity of the supervision and the monitoring and management of the child's use of that gadget, ensuring that the child has enough knowledge for them to effectively use that gadget. So yeah, you can make the decision whether you're willing to engage that much or not when you're giving the child the gadget. That's what I would say.
Now let's look at the interventions that have been made so far in regard to safeguard children online. So Kenya enacted the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act of 2018. We also had in 2019 the Kenya government also launching the Child Online Protection Policy. From a private sector view, the legislation and the actual implementation on ground, is it working, or are we having a gap in implementation of these policies?
I think I wouldn't say we're having a gap. I think it would give me an opportunity to just talk about what we do at UNICEF. For example, we have a partnership with Safaricom and other service providers on the Giga project. The Giga project aims at using the computer literacy program, especially enabled in the CBC, to ensure that we achieve our Vision 2030, where we would like all public schools to actually have access to the internet. Especially when you see that globally, we've just received the State of the World's Children talking about the fact that every half a second, a child accesses the internet for the first time globally. So we are at an era where we have the largest amount of children actually getting access online. So for UNICEF, working together with our partners, the government and the private sector, our aim is to now enable children, one, to be able to access it, because it is a good thing.
Yes.
Technology is a good thing, and everyone has technology, and our children need to have access to it to be able to compete globally with the global world. But they need to learn to be able to use it effectively. But there's also a gap in the people who supervise the use, especially in schools, the teachers, for example, the access of the parents and the community around them of the same. So the risk in use of the internet is not actually just children. You must admit that most of us also who are not born with it are still learning the power that it has and how to use it.
And it is morphing every minute.
Exactly.
So it's a collective, from what I'm hearing, is that this is a collective effort, private sector as well as government coming together to ensure that the children are safe.
Yes.
Now, there's another question that a majority have been asking. We've been tracking global trends. Sextortion is now becoming the main issue that children are dealing with across the globe.
Exactly.
How do we even them going further to take their lives because of the pressure and that. But then the question a parent is asking them, how will I know that my child is being exploited online?
Yeah.
What are the telltale signs?
I think they're the same telltale signs. Children are a mirror of the society. The exploitation is actually not just children; it's also amongst the grown-ups.
True.
But the signs are the signs of the child goes quiet. There's shame and embarrassment. There's confusion. But the most common sign is you'll notice withdrawal, maybe sometimes, or you'll notice a hesitance in hiding the phone, or jerk movements when you and as a parent also, instinctively you can tell when a child is not okay. I think I can't overemphasize the need to be engaged and to be involved and to be present, so that you can see whether there's a slight behavior change. But also, I can't overemphasize the need for literacy. Literacy in terms of knowing where to go when you feel uncomfortable, when you see something and you're not sure about it, for example. Who do they talk to? Can they come to you? If they cannot come to you, what options do they have? Sure. We have like a toll-free line where children can call in cases of abuse, for example. Do the children know the number? Can they use, and they can use it. Give them the freedom to use it. Who are the other adults in the environment? The teachers in schools, for example. Teachers have a very strong influence in children, and they need to be able to have these conversations and say, if you're not sure, talk to me about it. But also, even once a child feels like a bridge has been crossed and they've done something that's embarrassing or they do not like, we have to talk about it before it happens. It's really important to be prepared. So they need to know where do they go and who can they talk to.
That's a good, we're tackling the problem even before it happens, should the worst occur. Now let's go back to the toll-free line, because when I grew up in the 80s, we had call 9999. I don't know if that line still works. I became an adult without having to actually dial that number, and for that I thank God.
Thank God, yeah.
Yes. So now what do we have for children right now?
There's a number 116. We have what we call Spot It, Stop It campaign, which is a social behavior change campaign by UNICEF. And basically it just talks about, if you see something or you experience something, you can alert someone, speak to a grown-up about it, or you can report it by dialing this number, or to a person of authority, but do not keep quiet about it.
Do not keep quiet. Does it only tackle, does it only serve minors? We're in the era of gender-based violence and such. Femicide is also on the rise. Does it only just target minors, or is it an open platform?
I'm here as
so you just deal with minors. So this is for minors.
Yes.
116.
Yes.
116.
Yes.
You can text, or you can only
also call. There's a cell phone number. I just don't have it right now, but I can give it. You can share it later, but you can call the number. Yeah.
So from where you sit, having been actively in this particular value chain, how does the future portend? For child safety of children online, because we're not moving away from tech. In fact, we're making further inroads into tech. So what next? How does it look like?
I think legislation is also important.
All right.
Which is also an area that we work with. Our biggest partner, of course, is the government and the governance. And I think now it's time to begin to explore and see ways in which we can continue to protect children, because cyberbullying and sexually, it's a form of abuse, against the rights of a child, so to speak. If I was to speak about our private sector partners, for example, it's engaging and having conversations with people like us on what do we do with the products that we have? How can we explore ideas to work together in order to be able to create a safety space for the children, for example, because these children are our future. They are the future adults. You and I were once children, for example. And so what we do and how we bring them up now, of course, affects the kind of society that we have in the future. And you're right, we're not running away from it. AI is a conversation that everyone is almost having right now, and it's coming, and we cannot deny it. How do we use it? In UNICEF, we have what we call the Internet of Good Things, teaching you that basically spreading the mantra that it is just not a negative thing that you can use it for.
It's actually
and giving you the options. What are the good things that you can find within within the space? Yeah, I think it's not having denial, but accepting that it's there. And I'll go back to the word literacy, learning how to use it for the good of humanity.
Have you encountered resistance? You know, we've heard cases where children come out, they are victims of abuse, but then the grown-ups handling them, the ones who are supposed to protect them, don't want that information out there because either they are perpetrators or they are aiding perpetrators. How have you tackled that within your value chain?
So I wouldn't lie to say that I've tackled it per se, but I would also say that stigma is one of the things that I guess is a norm in society every time something's new. Also the culture and the society that we grow up in is one where, of course, if like I said, children just mirror society, and if we feel that it's a shameful thing, as grown-ups, of course, it's a shameful thing for the children. And I think this Spot It, Stop It campaign is one of the ways, because it even involved border riders going around speaking about what's sexual abuse, what does it entail, what should you do when it happens, what is it exactly. There has to be more and more conversation about it so that it stops being something that we back off from or we talk about in whispers. The knowledge of what it is, how do we report it, and an acceptance that it happens, and we need to do something about it is important.
I want to give you 30 seconds directly to that camera. Your last message as we look forward, you know, as we talk about matters of safety, also looking at matters of gender-based violence, that various players, including government and private sector alike, have said that it's a high time we stem this. And we're talking about safety of children online. One word as we close this conversation tonight.
Well, as we close this conversation, I think for me, I'd talk to the parents of children with regards to the protection and our responsibility really to the future of this nation. And the fact that we now have so much more access to telephones, we have so much more access to the internet, which is a good thing for our children, but it comes with a responsibility that we need to guide, we need to educate ourselves, we need to help the children learn, but we also need to help them know where they can go if they're in danger or they're in trouble. It's an issue that we need to talk about and not be silent about. It's an issue that we need to educate ourselves about and learn more about it. It's an issue that we need to walk our children through it so that they are able to enjoy the opportunities that they have and so that they're able to participate in this global world on an equal footing with every other child in this world.
Thank you very much. That has been our guest tonight, Christine Nyango, Resource Mobilization Officer at UNICEF Kenya, says that this is a clarion call to all to ensure that our children are safe while, surfing online. Remember, the campaign is Spot It, Stop It. And there's 116, a toll-free line. If you're in distress, that the person on the other side of the line is ready to help. Now we cross over to the other side of the studio where we have my colleague John Jacob Kioria in not too long, bringing us up to speed with what has been happening in the sporting arena. But that after this quick breather. We'll be right back. Sunday Express.
Je, ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Umepata msaada wote kutoka wapi?
Hata huo mzigo wa kwenda bodo sitisha. Usiupeleke mpaka nikwambie.
Iwapo Jasiri atafariki kwa kukosa matibabu, roho yake haitatulia milele.
Kaka kwa lidungwa kisu kwenye sherehe yako, wewe hata mshipa moyo hukugongi.
Mnigonge kwa lipi?
Kila mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
Inspector, kuja hapa karibu kwa gate ya Vitimbi Hotel. Kuna kazi kwa hapa.
Wamefika, watu wamefika, wako kila mahali kufanya hivi kuchika chificho.
Kwani nini imetokea?
Unalingika, twende tukajifiche. Inspect na wama balua.
Moja kwa moja. Kwa kari. Moja kuja. Moja kwa moja. Wacha vita bwana. Wacha mmalize. Wacha vita. Haya. Unapiga masa.
Time for sports now. And Belgium's rally driver Thierry Neuville won his first World Rally Championship title at the age of 36 after championship rival Ott Tanak crashed out at the season-ending Rally Japan. Tanak went off the road near the end of the opening stage on the final day. Neuville went into the rally with a 25-point lead over his Hyundai teammate Tanak, the 2019 world champion. Meanwhile, Welsh rally driver Elfyn Evans won the World Rally Championship season finale in Japan. Now, more than 200 golfers will take part in the first edition of the Aspiration High Tea Golf Tournament, which will be held on the 9th of December at the Current Golf Club. The tournament, which aims to raise funds to help the underprivileged, will be the first of its kind and will attract both professional and junior golfers. According to the fund managers, CEO Fred Buru, the tournament will now be organized every year to help change the lives of many disadvantaged Kenyans. Buru has also called on Kenyans to come out in large numbers to make the event a success. Chris Zima and Margot Garabajian emerged winners of the Africa Triathlon Cup in the men's and women's categories, respectively, as the championship concluded at Beaufort Beach in Kilifi. The competition attracted over 300 participants drawn from host country Kenya, Uganda, Germany, Australia, and Cambodia.
Germany's Chris Zima claimed victory in 58 minutes and 40 seconds, while Australia's siblings Noah Kaz and Samuel Kaz wound up in second and third positions, respectively. Kenya's top-ranked finisher was Joseph Okal, who was placed sixth. Margot Garbidian won the women's contest in 1 hour and 0.11 seconds. Noura Nuri of Morocco and Aisha Nasser of Kenya were ranked in second and third positions, respectively. The triathlon competition saw competitors taking part in a 750-meter swim, a 20-kilometer bike ride, and a 5-kilometer run. Elsewhere, City Hoyang FC beat Musanande FC 2-0 as this year's Duncan and Rose Muchuma Foundation Games kicked off at Halala Primary School in Webuye, Bungoma County. In other results, Milo Jr. battled to 1-1 draw with Red Star, while Handalala lost by a solitary goal to Mwangaza Starlets. A total of 114 teams across the men's and women's categories are participating in the tournament, which is intended to advance the use of AI in communities.
We've explored opportunities for young people, and we feel like nurturing talent is really, really key to the future of our young people. We would like to grow these opportunities into professional opportunities in life. We like to empower our young people with the digital skills, and at the same time, we would like to empower young people with entrepreneurial skills. We would like to see them build opportunities for themselves and even get to employ other young people in the digital space.
The final is expected to be held on January in 2025, with the winning teams receiving cash awards and certificates.
Tena huu imetuwezesha kuweza kusaidia vijana wasiwe idle, na mnajua ama mnaelewa vizuri kwamba idleness inaleta mambo mengine ambayo si mazuri katika jamii.
And that concludes the sports news. But not without telling you, there's a lot of gloom in Manchester. For one reason. Well, two reasons, really. You know what happened to Manchester City yesterday? Losing 4 goals at home. And then today, away, Manchester United has drawn with Ipswich Town. And one suspect is in studio. Supporter of that team called Manchester United. Are you, Regina?
This is the part where you say, Mungu nisaidie kunyamaza. I want to have a peaceful week ahead.
Yeah.
I just want to remind you, what position again is Chelsea?
That piece is sponsored by Ipswich.
What position again is Chelsea?
Chelsea is number 3 on the table.
Do
you want to know what number Manchester United is?
Achana na number, leave me alone. All I know is that Chelsea ni ile team ya wale watu wa boda boda. But it's all right. It's okay. Today we take the draw as Manchester United fans, but Viva, we can do better anyway. We can do better.
Yeah,
that's the truth.
You can do better in the afterlife. But
oh my God.
It's time for us now to cap one. Stand express. Have yourself a fantastic night. God bless you. My name is John Jacob Kioria.
It's because Christmas is around the corner. I take a breather and I accept. Have a great week ahead. I'm Regina Manyara.
Star 570 hash. Option 1 kuna PS5 na ni full package na inakuja na JBL Party Box. Hiyo boom experience pia iko.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid